Welcome to the dungeon. Dun, dun, dun.
Dum tada, dum tada da dum tadum tadum tada tada na.
No, that's copyrighted.
That's copyrighted. Yeah, that's true. The dungeon with
The
Andy and
dungeon.
with Andy and Shay.
Yes, the dungeon.
How are you? How are you? How are you, girl?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited for this one. So, disclaimer, we freaking recorded this entire podcast episode and then I lost. It didn't
Yeah,
save or something went completely wrong. So, we're going to
yeah,
redo it because it was good and worth recapping, worth
yeah,
redoing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's take two of episode two of the dungeon.
Yes. So let's introduce this episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about um, how we left YWAM and our experience leaving there, because this podcast is not about being in YWAM, and it's not
Yeah,
a let's bash YWAM podcast because I don't have time for that. So we're going
it's
to talk
important.
about that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important to put that out there. So this is not a personal attack. It's just our experiences. You understand?
Yeah. Our experiences in the dungeon.
The dungeon.
Yeah, so how was it after last episode? Because we got a lot of reactions from people.
I mean, feedbacks are always good, whether it's constructive or otherwise,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's good. Um, so we appreciate that. We appreciate the nations listen. The nations tuned in and
yeah.
was listening too, and that's also good. Um,
True, true. We,
and so mm,
according to this, we had the US, Jamaica, Curacao, Canada, Germany, Aruba, Mexico, the Netherlands, and Barbados that tuned into last episode.
woot woot.
What?
We
What?
we speak to nations, okay? But yeah, the feedbacks like from the feedback, I had a conversation with two past YWAMer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was about just the word used, the cult,
Yeah.
that word, and it was a bit of discomfort for some people,
Mm-hmm.
like not knowing they were associated with something like that, and that's
Yeah.
and that's total understandable because it's a strong word, okay? But
Yeah, it is.
the first conversation I had with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, um, we spoke about just cause she was in Y1 before me. So
Mm-hmm.
we just spoke about the difference of experiences, like her experiences versus my experiences. And
Yeah.
once we got past that, understand, came to a mutual understanding and got past that, we ended up speaking for like pretty much 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was good. We laughed and reminisced about some stuff. And and the following day, I had a conversation with a guy this time, a young king, um, and it was the same, just unease feeling about that word, just
Mm-hmm.
being associated with that word, and once we got past that also, something really powerful happened because he apologized on behalf
Yeah.
of YWAM, and then he offered his support. He said he
Mm-hmm.
was going to be a subscriber, and if ever there's a time I need to just talk and stuff like that, like I can always reach out to him, and that was really meaningful to me.
Yes.
Um, and it just goes to show that there's no the importance of right and wrong is really not that important.
No, it's not.
It's just experience because we can read the same book and just have two total different takeaway from that book.
Yes. Yes.
So that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot to me. How about you?
For me, I was very surprised how many people tuned in, and I was very surprised um of people's reactions and their support, especially the people that went into that were like, yeah, I want to listen to the next episode. That was very exciting and encouraging to me, because this podcast came about. I was just like, Andy, let's do it. We have the best conversations. I don't know how to, like, I don't have as much time to focus on this podcast, but
Yeah,
I'm excited to get into it. And we just did it, and I
yeah.
didn't really have any expectations. I just like, we just put it out, and it was
I knew
amazing.
I knew from the jump. I knew from the jump. Based
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
conversations we were
yeah.
having. No, no, it's true. Based on the conversation we were having, it's just that when we decided that we were going to do it, you was like, okay, and the visual came, the art, the
Yeah, the
dungeon,
visual came out the same
the
day, and
visual
I was
came.
like, yeah, the podcast is done. Like, let's test it out. And we did test it out, and it worked. And here we
We are
are.
now on our second episode.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, but I knew the conversations were good. I just didn't think people would be that interested in it. But it also goes to show the beauty of the community that we've built with YWAMers,
With
like
YWAMers, yeah.
there's there's amazing people that I've talked to, that you've talked to, and yo, y'all are awesome. I love my people, for
It's
real. Like
true.
I forgot how supportive the community can be.
It's true.
Um, so before we get started, there was a confusion about the name, the dungeon, and there was also some other things we wanted to talk about in regards to the cult word in itself, but the cult we're going to leave towards the end. We're not going to be talking
Yeah.
about that as yet. Um,
Mm.
but the dungeon is, it's a metaphor for the psychological and physical limitations imposed on a person and a community. And that's your definition. Let's give credit where credit is due. Andy Dandy wrote that.
Yeah.
um, and I love it because it's a safe space, right? It's a safe space to talk about the things that aren't talked about often enough, especially in the Caribbean culture where so much is hush hush. Don't tell people this, don't tell people that. Let's not talk about that. Let's leave that in the past. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
who basically it's all about let's push down everything and hope it goes away.
Yeah.
But
Submerge
if
to
you
submerge to
sprinkle,
submerge feeling and emotions,
yes,
and that's not always good.
but if you sprinkle glitter on shit, it's still gonna smell. It might look a little bit better, but it's still gonna smell. And we see that stank still in our culture today.
It's true.
And
Things
the
are not
truth of the matter is, there is so much glitter that we can't see because the shit is stinking. And we're awesome people and we have so much to offer. And still, if we don't look at the shit, if we don't go through the dungeon, we can't get to the glitz and glamour.
we cannot get, and we want to try and get to some of that in this episode. But also, one of the concerns was we did not explain much about YWAM,
Yes, yes.
you know. So
And you wrote
we want to do
something.
that also. Yeah.
Yeah, you wrote something else that I thought was cool. You're really good at writing concise things. So you said it's founded in 186, no, no, not 18,
18.
1960. The cult ain't that old.
Yeah. I'm not
19,
that old, Shady.
but it wasn't founded by you. You're not the cult leader. Do you want that?
Okay, go.
Founded in 1960 by Mr. Lauren Cunningham, YWAM is a global non denominational movement of Christians from different cultures and age groups. Its purpose is to know God and make Him known, right?
Yes.
That's something we've been ingrained in a lot too, to know God and to make Him known.
Yeah, there's also like I think over 650 campuses in 160 countries worldwide. So it's a huge
Mhm.
organization.
Yeah, it is.
And the entry level into YWAM is a discipleship to do a discipleship training school, which is
Mm-hmm.
acronym for DTS.
Yeah. So if you hear us saying DTS, it's discipleship training school. And they
Yeah.
train you to become a missionary in that. And you can't really do anything in YWAM without doing that.
No, no, that's the genesis of YWAM.
Yeah.
Um, to enter YWAM.
Mm-hmm.
And in that school, you learned about the Father, the ear and device of God, the Father art of God, um, the spiritual warfare, and just
Prayer, relationships,
breaking relationship bonds and stuff like that. And I have
breaking
a story.
sexual bond. Yes, talk
I
about
have a,
your
I have a
story
story.
in
I
your
have a story
DTS.
here. I have a story where that is concerned, that particular topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So like in my DTS, it was 8 of us. I was the
Mm-hmm.
oldest, and there was a married couple from the USA, and then there was 5 others.
Mm-hmm.
So in that particular setting, classroom setting, um, I think if I remember clearly, Andrea was teaching that course, and so she was like breaking sexual spiritual ties and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, and we were supposed to just write on a piece of paper the names of anybody we had sexual relationship with,
Mm-hmm.
and and just we're gonna break those ties. And so, like,
You needed multiple play papers.
I needed multiple papers. Like, I felt so embarrassed because apart from the married couple, like everyone else went up, they speak about just being in a relationship, but kissing and hugging
Uh-huh.
was the most. Like for me, when it was my turn,
Everyone went to first and second base and you were hitting home runs.
because no, because and disclaimer. So once again, I'm from a Garrison community, and
Yeah.
we are shaped by our environment.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And and eh, um, we have a lot of our music is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most degrading music also, but that's another conversation.
Yes.
But but there was this one song by a popular Jamaican artist called Man Fi Have Enough Girl and Girl in a Bug. It's speaking about having multiple partners, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up listening to those things. We grew up seeing our neighbors going to work, and as he left to go to work, someone else go just instantaneously go in the house. You understand? Like, so those things was like a norm. Okay,
Yeah, that was your environment. Yeah.
that was my environment, and I was shaped by my and cultured by my environment. And so
Mm-hmm.
becoming a Christian, the one going through that course, I felt so well. First and foremost, I felt like, geez, I felt dirty,
Yeah.
because it was a lot. I have to tear up the paper, Shay, because there was a lot, and I felt embarrassed to go up there and just calling out names and stuff like that. But I didn't think we have to do that. We should have even been asked to do that in the first
No.
place. You
I,
understand? That was insensitive and unwise.
yes. Just like I think you're formed by your environment in regards to like how you pertain to sex. I was formed by my environment in regards to sex too. It was just like don't have it ever. So so my
Yeah,
results are different, right? Except mine is often seen as good and yours is often seen as bad, and I would beg to differ. Um
yeah,
but yeah, I don't think it's why it's smart and nice to have somebody go and talk about their sexual experiences in front of a class. And also
yeah,
like this is something that I've learned is one thing that happens often in YWAM, but in all Christian organizations that I know of, or a lot of, let's not put all there.
Yeah.
is that who you had sex with is somewhat public information, right? Because
Yeah.
you should be having sex only with your married partner,
Partner. Yeah.
and then everybody knows that you're supposed to be having sex, which sometimes doesn't happen either, but that's not the conversation here. Um,
It's not.
the the but it shouldn't be anybody's business who you actually sleep with.
Yeah, and that was even
It's not.
before, that was before. So I can say I understand just the ties, but that spiritual ties and that's attached to that. But that's what repentance is for. That's what you and God's relationship is
Hmm.
for. It shouldn't be just out there for the public like that.
Yeah. But some things are created for manipulation and not necessarily for your the
Yeah.
breaking of sexual tie spiritual ties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was YWAM. Now let's talk about our experiences leaving YWAM. And I think I'll go first, right?
Okay.
Ladies first.
Okay.
I think it's very interesting the differences between our two experiences because for me, it was more it felt more like an accident or like a normal sequence of events, and I didn't feel like I was trapped in YWAM or anything like that. It wasn't until later on that I realized certain things, right? So for
Yeah.
me, I did my DTS, which is the Discipleship Training School in Trinidad. Then I went on to do School of Performing Arts in Jamaica. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
And after my School of Performing Arts, I went to become staff in Jamaica, given I was also dating another staffer from Jamaica at the base, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't like I went there because I was dating him. I was dating him and I felt like I needed to go there as well. So I was doing that with I joined YWAM Jamaica as a staff with the goal of also doing School of Dance in
Yeah.
Montana. And there wasn't a date of when the School of Dance is going to start by the time I joined staff. So I told them in advance, I'll go whenever it's ready. Another thing that we have to explain here when I talk about schools, so there's discipleship training school, School of Performing Arts, School of Dance Studies. Um, those schools are really like curriculums, right? Little um, credits that you get, and you could use them towards a degree in the University of the Nations, which is a
Yeah.
YWAM based university. So it has its
Yeah.
own university itself, right? So my commitment to be on staff was 2 years, but I took a break to go to Montana. And when I came back, I had issues with my visa because even though I did get my work visa approved, I did not um I was in Jamaica and I needed to leave the country to get it in my passport to enter the country again with the
Yeah.
Jamaican work visa in my passport. And that didn't happen. I tried to do it when I was in Montana, but Jamaican embassies, I couldn't reach them. I was young and afraid too. Like I sent emails, I called people and stuff like that. I probably could have done a better job, but it was also like they were really hard to reach. And I was really scared to send out my passports to get a
Yeah.
visa in it. Also,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that I have a Dutch passport. So nobody around me has ever gotten a visa for anything. So the
Yeah.
whole concept of getting a visa was so new to me at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, I didn't get my visa. And so when I went back to Jamaica to continue being on staff, I had a decision to make. I was either going to restart the application for my work visa or I had to do something else. And so at that time, my partner, the guy that I was dating, got kicked out of YWAM. So I was like, okay, I was there by myself. And
Yeah.
also, besides that, I was able to like separate that and actually look at what I wanted and listen to my own intuition, which a YWAMer would call hearing the voice of God. And and from there I realized no, I actually wanted to go home. I had a dream exactly of what type of job to apply for, which was to be a tour guide on a trolley train here. I applied it, and within 2 weeks I had a job. Right. So that's how I exited YWAM. It was more of an accidental thing because I thought I was going to be a YWAMer forever.
Yeah,
Then it was actually the plan. It was like the universe was guiding me towards something else, even though I kind of just wanted to be a YWAMer at that time still.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, comparing to my exit, that was smooth sailing.
It
That was
was
smooth sailing
amazing compared to yours.
because, like for me, remember in the last episode, I shared about how different it was for us as locals,
Yes.
to leave our homes, our community, and go and join the organization, okay?
Hmm.
Because the minute we leave that house, someone is gonna occupy it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be occupied. And so we can't go back for that. And so I went as a single person, and now I'm exiting as a married man.
Hmm.
So that's even more difficult. You understand? That's even more.
Oh, wait, you muted yourself.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I was getting a call. So that was even more difficult for me. But before I go about explaining my exit,
Hmm.
let's go back into just my DTS because um so um Nardia is calling.
Oh.
So um she's not gonna stop. Sorry about it. So
Let me pause this for a minute and you can message her and
yeah,
then we'll
yeah,
get
yeah,
back. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I need to
yeah.
press. As I said, this is an unedited podcast. So when people are calling and stuff like that, we got to stop for a minute to continue, but it's not going to be edited out, right? Okay,
Okay,
continue your
okay,
story.
okay. Let's continue. So during my DTS, like my ex Anisha that's her name, okay?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for those who don't know, and ex meaning wife, my ex-wife, and that felt good just saying it, like for the first time
Mm.
publicly. I know it felt good because many people
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
was in the Anisha Andy wedding on
Yeah, many
on Kobe Bryant's birthday.
at Kobe's birthday, and as a matter, I didn't know that. You pointed that out to me.
I was like, you picked Kobe Bryant's birthday to get
that
married?
that wasn't planned, people believe me. So during my classroom phase, the 3 months classroom phase, she wasn't there. She was in Costa Rica, staff
Hmm.
in the YWAM over there. And so I went on outreach in China,
Hmm.
and that in and of itself is a story. Like, believe me, we can like if we were supposed to make this about YWAM, it would be
We would have stories.
so much stories. But yeah, she came to the base when I was in China on my outreach,
Hmm.
and something happened in while I was in China that caused me to have to leave early. And I
Hmm.
was so upset about that. I was so upset because
No, didn't cause you, cause the team, right?
cause it
Right. Because
cause
if
it
you're
no no
just
no no no
talking
no
about you,
no
is
no
it's a
we
you thing.
we leave before we left before the team. The two
Oh, I didn't
Jamaicans,
know that part.
yeah, we left before the team did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a Jamaica like pulled us and we have to leave. And I was like, because it was no fault of mine.
Yeah, it
you
wasn't.
know. And and so I made a promise that God, I'm gonna come back to China, but I want to come back with a wife next time.
Yeah.
And I spoke that in the universe. And so, be careful what you speak in the universe, people. It listens, okay?
Yes.
And so, and so when I came back from China, um, I graduated during the graduation. Um, I met her. She came to me and I was leading up to the graduation. I saw her and I'm like, I don't remember her being on campus, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who knows Anisha, she's a beautiful woman, yeah, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She's a beautiful girl, and so I was like, okay, I noticed her, and so she approached me and said that was a good speech after the graduation and stuff like that, and then I was like to myself, okay, in Jamaican terms, this dead.
You got this one.
I'm going mamba, I'm going all out, you know, and so and so I started inquiring, asking questions about her,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out that she likes eating fish. She only eat fish at the time, and she's a huge fan of fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So the campus is a huge one, at 13 acres. And
Yes.
at the back of it we have like there's this guy who was there doing gardening.
Clifford. I loved Clifford.
Clifton.
Clifton. No, Clifford is the big red dog.
Clifton is a big red dog, and he's a big
Clifton.
Clifton. So
I love the
I
man that I didn't even know his name.
I went down there and asked him like, I want this spot, and I cleared the spot. I cleared it. I cleared it. I cleared. Notice, I'm from, like, I keep saying this, but I have to emphasize it. I don't know nothing about farming, okay? So,
You're
so
from the
I want to
project.
of the projects, man. Concrete jungle, according to Bob Marley. And so, I built a garden for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to her house one day and I knocked on the door and I said, like, that garden is for you. Okay,
So,
be sharp, like, I went
so
all out.
cute. Yeah.
I felt like King Solomon. I made a vineyard. And so she was impressed because there was callaloo, there was cabbage, there was tomatoes, cucumber, I plant everything.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I didn't plant was fish.
Good thing you didn't try because it wouldn't have worked out.
and so we became friends after that, just speaking here and there and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
in 2008, this movie came out. It's an animated movie called Bolt. Um, it's about a dog with superpowers, lightning speed, and stuff like that. So I think they made that off Usain Bolt. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But
I never
if
heard of
that
this movie.
if that's the case, that would be very disrespectful because Bolt is not a dog. Okay.
True.
So I invited her to see the movies, and she didn't accept it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So what she was doing, she went around inquiring about me also.
Yeah.
And then sometime after she came back and said she'll go to the movies with me, but there can be no touching with Christy with
No.
Holy Ghost fire would come down on us, and I'm like, I'm gonna be the perfect gentleman. You don't have to worry about that. So the movie was good. At least to me, I thought it was a good first date. And but the next the next day after we came back from the movies, she didn't speak to me for like 3 to 4 days, and I was puzzled. I was
Yeah,
okay.
that's weird.
And I was like, okay, so I didn't do nothing you said I should we wouldn't do. I didn't touch you. I didn't I didn't like say anything outside of just two people going to a movie and just having fun and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I was a bit puzzled, and
Yeah.
rightly so, because we had
Seems
fun,
that
we laughed.
Seeing that you live in the same place, right? So you've seen her multiple times. It's not like nowadays you go home and somebody doesn't text you back. It was like you were seeing her during
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was a totally like like maze to me. But leading like let me say this before before we went on that date. As I said, we used to just talk here and there and share just synapses into each other's plans and futures. Like so, I would
Hmm.
ask her like, "What's your plan for the next 5 years?" and stuff like that, and she'll tell me.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I asked her, "So you don't plan on getting married and having a family?" And she was like, "Oh no, that thought never crossed my mind," and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So no. Fast forward after the date, she avoided me for days, and I was on work duties one day. I passed her because I was about to wash the vehicle, one of
Hmm.
the vehicles, because that was one of my chores for my work duty that day. And I passed her in the office, and I was down there washing the vehicle and stuff like that. And I was, man, I need answers. And why is this girl avoiding me and stuff
Hmm.
like that? So something inside me tell me to just stop what I'm doing and go.
Hmm.
So I stopped. I went to her office. She opened the door. I went in there, and the first thing came out of my mouth was, "You want to marry me?"
By the way, did you get down on a one knee? None of that.
None of that. That was no traditional proposal. I was like, "So wait, you want to marry me?"
You
And stuff
barely
like that.
knew her, too.
When did you were like, and she was like, a pause, and I was standing there like, you want to marry me?" And she was like, "Okay."
Of
And we
course she paused. Like anybody would pause.
and so we were engaged. No, I went down there to find out like what went wrong after the movie. You understand? But the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing came out of me. That's why you be true to yourself, people. If I
yeah.
can say
Hmm.
anything to you in a word of encouragement, be true to you.
Yeah.
Like the first thing came out was, "You want to marry me?" She paused for a minute, and then she said, "Okay." And then yeah. So I got married, and
Yes.
there was a lot leading up to the wedding. There was a lot. When I said in the first podcast that I was depressed, it was a depressing time for me. I meant every
Hmm.
word of that. I
Yeah.
remember this time it was like 2 weeks to our wedding, and and I didn't have no money. For me, I wanted to do just a little simple thing. I didn't
Hmm.
want no big thing and stuff like that.
Like the proposal.
The proposal, just keep it simple and some little finger food in the morning or afternoon thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But for him, and she was like, yeah, that's a good idea, Um, given the fact that we weren't heavily supported. As a matter of fact, she was the only one of us who had a support system around
Yes.
her
And
because
support, we
she was,
mean people that give you money to be a
yeah, yeah,
missionary.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that in itself was like a huge concern of mine because go back to the first episode, I mentioned how I was an independent person and I was struggling initially when my friend was asking me to come and join YWAM, knowing
Hmm.
that I have to give up everything to go and literally beg, actually beg. It's begging, okay?
Yeah.
And so because she was staffing in Costa Rica, she had a friend over there, two ladies, two female friends, who gave her a card, an ATM card, and said, "You know what? Every week you can pull this amount of money from it."
Hmm.
And so she was supporting us,
Yeah.
and so that did something to me as a man initially. And every time we would hear from the staff when we have staff meeting, do newsletters. You guys need to write your newsletters. And I'm like, I'm writing newsletters. I can't force people to give. I'm sharing
Yeah.
stories, I can't force people to give. And that was another thing I didn't really, I think was unwise on their behalf because each individual, each staff know just how much money they owe on their staff fee.
Yeah,
The leader,
but then they would
yeah,
make you guys stand up on in community meetings and say out loud
the
how
figure,
much each person
yeah,
owed. And it was mostly the Jamaican men who were also my friends. And I would
yeah,
see them. get up, they already knew what it was, and they would like just crush you, you know? Like I think Jamaican men specifically are very proud people and
Yeah,
very much into like let's take care of our business. And so the fact that it was like very, I don't even think it's humbling. I think it's breaking of a person's,
yeah, yeah,
it's
and the fact that
embarrassing.
you have to do it, you know, it's you have to do it. It's like you have no control over it because
Yeah.
it's the rule. It's one of the rules. You understand? So
And it's another way to, I mean, if we go back to that whole slavery thing, it's another way of, beating people, being like, hey, you didn't do
yeah,
your thing. You didn't say what you were gonna, what you said you were going to. So, hey, let's punish you publicly.
yeah, yeah, and so like for me, see, like for me, it was like 150 US dollars US,
Hmm.
and so now together with me and her, it's gonna be doubled.
Yeah.
So if I was struggling with $150 before, like
Hmm.
now it's gonna be doubled. And on many occasions, I speak to like the leaders, and I'm like, you can take something off it because you guys know we're struggling and stuff like that. And oftentimes, we can't even find when we do get money, it's just to put whatever it is little we can on the staff fees. And sometimes we have to just go without food,
Yeah.
literally go without food, literally go without food for
I
days.
know. I dated I dated another Jamaican staffer. Like I know exactly what that looks like. Given that
Okay,
I
so
had more support, so it would have been it was a bit different between the two of us, but to have two people that didn't have enough support, it's and married, right? I wasn't married.
yeah,
It's different.
and so and so something started forming inside of me. And you always say this to me, Andy, you're like a vault. You don't
Yes.
let things out. And
No.
it's true, and I do it to protect myself. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know I'm a jovial person. Anybody knows me know that I'm happy when I make people laugh.
Yes.
That's why we click. So that's why the synergy between us is so powerful because that's how I see you also. You understand?
Yeah, we had our own dance. We had our own like words. We had our own thing going.
And so yeah. And without straying too far, like I remember 2 weeks before the wedding, I went to I was supposed to go for some things in Kingston. Um, and it was a Wednesday. I found out that I need to go to Kingston to get the supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Supplies and money that would be
Yeah.
well needed. You understand? And
And
so
Kingston is about 4 hours away, right? Like
about
to
4 hours
put it
away.
into perspective. Yeah.
So I found out the Wednesday. I know I had work duties the Thursday. So I asked a friend of mine to just fill in for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just get up and leave without in like having someone stood in the gap for me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went to what the leader who is in charge of maintenance, Aaron was his name, Aaron Turnbull. He's from Canada. And
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I have to go to Kingston to get some stuff for the wedding and stuff like that. And he was like, no, you can't go. And I'm like, why can't I go? And he was like, you have work duties. I'm like, yeah, no. I asked someone to fill in for me. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, I can't go and giving me this. You need to be responsible. And you understand? I'm like, no, they champion. One of their thing is championing couples, married couple and wedding and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
So I thought this would be a no-brainer. The man made a total thing out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to punch him, physically punch him. And I know I would get in trouble for doing it so. So I punched him with my words. I was like, yes, master. Yes, master. And every time
Mm-hmm.
he speak, yes, master. And he was getting red and I was like up in his face, yes, master. Yes, master.
Mm-hmm.
And that just came out of me. And it goes back to even what you
The,
were mentioning in the
yep.
first episode
The
about this
energies,
slave
the
energy there.
spiritual things that that
Is
are there.
because that's how I felt in the moment. Like
Yes.
this is a person, a white man, restricting me from doing something I want to do for no reason. And
Mm-hmm.
so he left his office and he went to the Caribbean director of YWAM, like if I remember the name correctly.
You
He wasn't
do.
the direct he wasn't the director of the campus.
Yeah.
A
No, he
Jamaican
wasn't.
lady, a Jamaican lady was the director of the campus. He was the overseer. You understand?
But she was a
So
placeholder too.
yeah.
'Cause-
And
Yeah.
and so he went to him and then he called me in his office. Mr. Bill Landis called me in his office. And the first thing he said to me was, before you said anything, I believe what Aaron said because he's the leader. Shay, I exploded.
Dictatorship.
Yeah.
Authoritarian.
And this is the leader. This is the leader, the overseer. You
Yeah.
understand? That's what he
But
said. He didn't
mhm,
care about hearing my side of the story, you know. He
no.
was like, I believe what he said first and foremost, putting his foot down. So what else can I do but explode?
Yeah.
And he was like, I think he, and this is what Anisha is gonna get into. And I'm like, fuck, don't even mention her name and stuff like that. And I exploded at him and he started getting red also. And he said, you have to leave. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm leaving this place. So Anne was on work duty in the kitchen. So I
Hmm.
went down there to tell her that, you know, what happened. And then before I could tell her, I saw Bill coming with his wife because everybody hear me, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
because I was very animated, you know, I was very animated that
Yeah.
day.
And those buildings are close together.
Yeah.
His
And
office, the
so
kitchen, and
his,
where they lived. Yeah.
yeah, his wife was like, but Bill, you're wrong and stuff like that and ABCD. And he apologized and then asked me to apologize for my reaction. And that again was forced. That was like, first and foremost, if you're gonna apologize for something, if you're gonna say sorry, your actions must change also, right?
Yes.
If your actions don't match your words, it's manipulation. And I felt
But even
manipulated.
forcing, no, but even force, yes, and even forcing somebody to apologize is manipulation because that person ain't doing it from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wasn't doing it from heart. I was doing it because I know what,
To save
man, I'm
face and
thinking,
to save your
yes,
marriage and to save
save my
yourself.
marriage
Yeah.
and save my car because and so when I speak about being depressed and we face a lot of things as Jamaicans, like and I'm sure, I'm certain because at one point I became like I was like telling the other guys, you know, let's leave, man. Like we can't stay here, you know, like we can't stay because this is foolishness and stuff like that. And so I became really, 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 really um what word would I choose now?
Down, depressed,
Yeah, depressed,
stuck.
but I
But
started
Andy, I'm just
rebelling.
remembering something now, right? Like we were really good friends when I was a student and you were staff. Then you got married and I was staff. And at first I was like, I didn't see you much because you were married. But now that I think about it, that played a role. I was also in a relationship, so that also played a role. But also you were different.
Yeah,
Like I think it's that what you're saying is the being depressed or being down or whatever. You weren't the same Andy. You weren't dancing and stuff
I
anymore
wasn't.
after.
I wasn't. And like I don't blame any one person. I don't blame no one as a matter of fact, no organization. And this is not an attack on YWAM, it's just on you to the mission. Um, it's just that this is our experience and this is it. Can you imagine? The thing that came out of me was yes, master,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how I felt in the moment. Like
Yeah.
this is somebody like just stamping his authority over me.
Mm-hmm.
Is man given authority. Understand? So and for now, I was a huge. I still believe in God, you know. I still believe in a creator. I still believe in um this universe don't just happen. I don't. You understand? It don't just happen.
Mm-hmm.
But as to say a Christian and a religious person, no more. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in Christianity no more because of just persons who were supposed to stand in the gap um mistreat their position of leadership.
Yeah.
So, and I do believe that um that did play a part in just the outcome of even my wife and I. I say that to
Yes.
say this. I remember when we were like we are gonna leave, you know, she wanted to be there. You remember you just said you thought you was gonna be a YWAM forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's her, and she's an introvert.
Yeah.
That girl, you would have to pry things out of her with a with a screwdriver. She goes deep, but when she opens her mouth,
Yeah.
okay, and so she felt like I was forcing her to leave.
Mm.
And I was like, I cannot stay, I cannot support you. I can't like we are struggling. We are literally the fun. We had fun, we had very good times, but um when that recession hit back in 2008 and her support system started swindling down, like
Mm-hmm.
it started hitting home even more, you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember this time we were coming from church and we wasn't driving. We were in a car and the person who was driving stopped at the supermarket, Super Plus, to get like groceries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And and I remember we were just there walking behind them. I didn't want to come out the car, but Anne said, let's go. Because she's a determined girl. She wanted
Mm-hmm.
food. We didn't have no food. And I
Yeah.
thought the leaders, some like they would notice and even offer you guys not having any buying anything and just to even start a conversation where that is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Shay, I stood in that supermarket and I saw my wife went to somebody, a total stranger, and asked to buy egg and bread. A tray of egg and a loaf of bread. You know what that made me feel?
Mm-hmm. I can only imagine. I'm not a
You know
man,
that you know, the
but
fuck that
yes.
made me feel as a man, like a person who struggled with this insecurity to begin with, not being
Mm-hmm.
able to provide.
Yeah. Being
And so
humiliated at staff meetings,
yeah, and
like all
so
that. Yeah.
and not only did it made me feel uncomfortable seeing her do that, it's like they didn't notice. They didn't notice.
Mm-mm.
Understand? And I was like, and then I had to eat it because I want food for my body.
Yeah.
So I felt fucked up like seeing her did that and then have to eat it when she made it. And I'm like, fuck. Like we have to leave, we have to leave, we have to leave. And she's a strong believer in God. Let's have faith and stuff like that. And I'm like, so that became a rift became right there in
Mm-hmm.
a relationship, because she's struggling. She's coming from a household much like your one. Yours where this authoritative thing, and
Mm-hmm.
she struggled with like she saw me as her parent now being stamping authority. Like we have to leave,
Oh
we have to
yeah,
leave, we
yeah.
have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And so she started going further and further in herself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting really rebellious and stuff like that. And so those are just a few like examples and there's lots more. But I remember when I finally decided and said I packed my suitcase and I said, girl, I'm going through that door. You're coming with me or not? Like I'm like putting down a foot now. And she
Yeah.
said, okay. And she said, okay, but little did I know that before we left, I was like, okay, so you're from Montego Bay. There's a call center in Montego Bay, one of the first ones that I think was built in Freeport, Fairview, Montego Bay. And so I like, did your do your resume and send there because we have to have a plan. We can't just leave and go to nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so she did her resume, she sent it, and she got accepted for the job. And so
Yeah.
we was like, okay, we're gonna leave now. We announced to the leaders now that we're gonna leave on the weekend. She's gonna go back to her parents because I'm not going to live there. I tell her that like I'm not coming. And that's another story. They didn't like me from the get go because
Yeah.
I'm a so-called ghetto guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't born a Christian. Her mom asked me that, "Are you a Christian?" Like I'm like I'm like
Yeah.
when did you became a Christian? I'm like, not important. I'm a pretty girl you want. I'm like, that's what she said to me. You want a pretty girl, you want a pretty daughter and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? And so I wasn't gonna go there. So I'm like, go to your parents. I'm gonna go to Kingston, do my thing and stuff like that. And then we're gonna get somewhere mutual,
Mm-hmm.
understand? And so we could live. And so we decided to do that. So I went out one day. I think I was playing basketball. When I finished playing basketball, I came home. I saw one of the leaders in the house
Hmm.
speaking to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard these exact words coming from the mouth of that leader at YWAM. If you leave YWAM without God, and it's not God asking you to leave, you're gonna be cursed.
Mm-hmm. That is like such a cult thing though. Like,
And I exploded. I like get the fuck out
mm-hmm.
of here because I know my wife. I know Anisha, man. She's gonna take that hard, and she's struggling with me already. She feel like I'm forcing her to leave.
Yeah.
You understand? And so that night, I was at the rec room watching a game of basketball and stuff like that. And then when I came down, I remember one of the guy who was a staff there. I won't call the name. And he was kicked out also.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Yo, what happened to Anne? She's down there making a lot of noise." When I went down there, the door was locked, and I was like, "What's happening? Like, are you all right in there? Like, you're cool in there? What's happening?" and stuff like that. And she was just in there. When she eventually opened the door, she said she's gonna go to her parents for a minute or two,
Mm.
And I said, "Okay, cool. You want me to come?" No. So she left. All I remember is waking up in the night, cause I don't know, like I went to sleep. Because she,
Mm-hmm.
she oftentimes visit her parents on Sundays. It was a Sunday and she would come back. But I went to sleep.
Yeah.
And she wasn't in the house um when I woke up. I'm like, what? So I had a master key. So I was like, and this is kind of so I was going around the campus. You understand? Just
Opening up the rooms.
yeah, because I was calling her, she wasn't picking up and stuff like that. And then I started really getting worried. And so first I didn't go to no staff members or no leaders room
Mm-hmm.
because they couldn't have her, you know,
Yeah.
they couldn't have her in their house knowing that she's a married woman and you understand and
Mm-hmm.
without even letting me know. So so I just opened up the dorms and it's a huge proper property.
Yeah, there's a lot
A lot of
of
doors
dorms.
and
Yeah.
I went through all the doors. She wasn't in none of them. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I was like, okay, probably she should stay over her parent house. So the first thing I did the Monday morning was grab a taxi and went there. And I saw her dad, and I was like, oh, could you tell Anne that I'm here and stuff like that? And I was like, oh no. Anne came in, but she left. You understand? I was like, she left and she didn't say. And you understand? So she left like the Sunday. You understand? She left back, and I was like, okay. So I just play it off.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want, I just played it off, I didn't know how I played it off without him getting suspicious.
Yeah.
But I played it off, and then only to find out when I was there, I didn't know what to think, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really say anything to anybody, but I wanted to really know first. You understand? I was
But
processing
also,
stuff,
you didn't
and
understand it. You didn't trust anybody.
no, I didn't trust
Rightfully
anyone.
so.
And
Yeah.
so around about 12 o'clock, I saw her coming in with one of the females staff member, and once again I explode the fuck. Something is growing inside of me that it's like a split personality, and these episodes keep feeding into it
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I was like, how could you do this? Like, how could you have her knowing that she's a married woman? Like, what? Like, like you understand? I could, like, oh, no, could I do something like this?
Mm-hmm.
And little did I know they were secretly having meetings one on one with her without me knowing and stuff like that. And
This
man,
only gets
so
worse. Like every time I
and
hear
so
a
and so
story come out of your mouth, I'm like,
and so
really?
when people hear me talk or I talk about that organization, it's not and no, I'm speaking specifically about YWAM Mobile. That is, there's two campuses in Jamaica, one in Reading,
Stone.
one in Stones Oak,
Mandeville.
Mandeville, and one in Reading, Montego Bay. I'm speaking
Yes.
specifically about that one. So I don't have experience with no other.
Let's be clear, it's Reading St. James.
Yeah, Reading St. James. And so those are just a few of the episodes, like that happened. And I'm leaving. We are leaving with that. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was rough. It was a rough
Yeah.
re-entry into society from YWAM.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you had to find work. You didn't have a house. You didn't have support. You didn't have none of that, right? And I
yeah,
think it's important too. I love that we have such different experiences leaving because for me, I was so young. I wasn't married, even though I was in a relationship. Um, I wasn't married. I just moved back to my parents' house and got a job here, right? But in Jamaica, it's a different economy. It's different to get jobs and stuff like that.
mm,
Um, and even education wise, privilege, like I come from a different socioeconomic background. I come from a different educational background. Like all that
yeah,
plays a role
yeah,
in
yeah,
what you're able to do in a society. Now, that doesn't make it that one person is better than the other, but we live in a very fucked up society that will
yeah,
value one person above the other.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, that
And
is,
and and
and
and then and let me just put this out there.
yeah, go.
Um, one of the reasons, yeah, because we have to be honest. I wanted to have sex, so so that even forced, because looking back, I think we rushed into it.
Yeah.
But this is my belief. Two very immature persons can get married, but then somebody have to mature up real quick. Somebody have to real quick. And
Hmm.
so I know that was one of the driving force behind behind
Behind
even
getting
the
married so fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting married, because you don't want to fornicate. You don't want to be a fornicator
Hmm.
because we are spiritual being living in the flesh. And then naturally you're gonna have desires and feeling and stuff like that. So apart from that, we really loved each other, And from that union, we had fun still, I just want to put this out there. We have lots of fun during the 10 year of our
Yeah.
marriage, and
No, we're madly in love. I saw that with my own eyes.
from that a beautiful baby boy um was born,
Hmm.
and so I will always appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think if you should ask me, Sean, Andy, you think like YWAM played a part in just the outcome of your marriage? I would say yes.
Yeah, of
Though
course.
I'm not blaming them fully,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would say yes.
It was all your decisions, right? It was your decision to get in YWAM. It was your decision to get married. It was your decision to leave YWAM. It was all your decision, but still, there, your decisions are different based on the environment that you're in. And
Yeah,
so the
because
environment did cause, um,
it's just wisdom, and these are leaders. I don't mean to cut you. These are leaders. You can't be having a one-on-one with a person. Like, it takes, if you're gonna be a mediator, you should be there with both parties.
yeah, of
You know, but
course.
but but it's not like I was abusive or anything like that. No, they were trying to convince her to convince me not to leave.
Yeah.
And so when that wasn't working, that lady came down there and said, if you leave and it's not God's willing, you're gonna be cursed.
Hmm.
So it's just fucked up in a lot of ways, man.
I
You
feel
can't
like
say
this,
you can't do that.
I feel like here is a good time to move into the cult talk because then we can move into where we are now, right?
Yeah.
So for me, even though there was so much I didn't agree on, like my heart broke so many times seeing the treatment of you guys and how, and when I say you guys, I mean the Jamaican men specifically that were my friends. My heart broke so many times being there. I was still gung ho a YWAMer, right? Like when I left, I was still like, no, there needs to be a better way. But as I moved on and I grew and I had to deal with so many things along the way, and for my mental health, my spiritual health, all of that, I started seeing things differently. The
Yeah.
first time I heard YWAM being a cult was when I was in Montana, and my mom was telling me that an aunt of mine was worried that I was in a cult. And I just laughed. I'm like, how do you think this place that's so liberating, so much fun, is a cult, right? I had so much fun in YWAM. Fast forward to, let's say, a year or two ago, more than a year, less than two ago, I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across this thing that was saying that YWAM is a cult. And I was like, okay. I listened to it and I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But still, I can say that my upbringing was in a cult, but I didn't want to say YWAM is a cult. But as I continue to think about it, I was like, uh-huh, it is a cult. Like I see it now. But here's the thing. When you and I wanted to do this thing and people were saying, "Oh no, YWAM is not a cult." I said, "Let's look at all the list of like all the characteristics of a cult and then let's prove that YWAM is a cult." What I come to realize is that's not what I want to do. I actually just want to share my experience. And for me, it is important to call YWAM a cult because that's how I can allow myself to see the shit without the glitter on top of it
Yeah.
and acknowledge the shit without the glitter on top of it to kind of separate the two. So yes, I had so much fun. I met Andy and I met my ex and I met all these friends and it was I was happy all the time. I was playing music from my ass because
And she meant that literally.
I mean that literally. I was on cleaning crew and I wanted to listen to music while I worked, but earbuds would fall out as I worked. So I put on like a fanny pack and I put it backwards, attached it to a speaker through a radio transmitter, and it was playing music and it was coming straight from my butt.
only, only Shadia could come up with an invention like that.
So yes, I was playing ass music and I loved it. But I have to also see the negative sides and how those negative sides have caused pain and caused issues for me later on in my life too, right?
Yeah.
And how it affected me. And again, for me, YWAM was a lot of fun and a lot more liberating than the cult that I grew up in. So for me, it will always seem like better than what I grew up in. But I do see the similarities and I see, yes, that was a cult too, not just the Christian organization that I grew up in.
Yeah. And like for me, if I'm to add to that, I'm like, listen, first and foremost, we have to learn to respect each other's point of view and opinions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and so when we use the word, when I use the word, and I'm sure it's the same for you, it's not to attack or to let anyone feel uncomfortable. That's not the intent. It's just me sharing my experience and how I associate some of the things that I experienced there with just that word. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? No, the thing that makes many people uncomfortable with being associated with that word is the first thing come to mind when you hear a word like that is satanic rituals and blood
Mm-hmm.
sacrifices and stuff like that. No, mind control is just and just this tyrannical system. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's manipulation and that's also witchcraft. You understand? That in itself is witchcraft. Manipulation is considered witchcraft. You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah.
So,
In
so
yeah, go. Sorry.
no, no, go ahead.
In Papiamento, which is my native language, witchcraft is translated to brua, but brua is also the name for like confusion.
Yeah,
It's also the word for confusion in Papiamento. And I love that because that's what it is. It's a sort of let me confuse you so I can control you. Let me confuse the situation so I can control it. Given that I believe there is white magic and black magic, and there's no good or bad in regards to that because both have been used for good and bad. But a cult doesn't need to include witchcraft. But also, Andy, now that I think about it, something about Christianity is very much witchcraft.
listen, listen. That's one of the that's no first and foremost. Listen, and this can be a whole other topic
Yeah, yeah.
to have a conversation about. But like God didn't give us religion, okay?
No.
He gave us rules, commandments to live by, to adhere to. So yeah, so when you live by those commandments, you follow the rules. You don't need to be praying and repenting every day. You understand? So that's just that. So Christianity was given, in my opinion, was handed down to us by colonials who,
Yeah.
at the end of the pan Atlantic slave trade system, they just come up with something else. The
Hmm.
shackles to put around the mind. You understand?
No, it was even during slavery actually. Like when they had the slave revolt here, led by Tula, the priest was going around and telling people that this is not okay. And Tula had to have a conversation with the priest saying, "Hey, so you think the way we're mistreated is good? Is you agree with them?" And so that's also part of it that's documented, that Christianity was used in order to keep people enslaved.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and only the and we were talking this morning. You mentioned a quote from Marcus Garvey that Bob Marley did in a song,
Yeah.
"Emancipate yourself from mental slavery," and and it's a beautiful song, But
Yeah.
I think the part we need to pay attention to is emancipate yourselves. You understand?
Yeah.
Many of us is looking for someone to come and free us from
Mhm.
whatever emotional bondage, whatever physical bondage, whatever psychological, whatever religious thing. We're looking for a savior. We're looking for somebody to come and save us. You understand? And
Mhm.
that's what in my definition the dungeon is about. You understand? We have to dig deep in our own dungeons. Everybody go through shit in their lives. You understand? Everybody have experiences. Everybody struggle with stuff.
Mhm.
And so and so this platform now, because nothing is unique to me. My
Yeah.
experience is not unique to me. Someone before me went through this, and
Someone is
after
current.
me,
Someone's going
someone is
through it right now
currently going
too.
through it now, and someone in
Yes.
the future is going to go through it. Now, the
Mhm.
problem we have as a society, as a culture, as a region, is not giving information. One of the best resources we can give to each other is information. Now,
Mhm.
if someone from the past and, 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 and maybe the platform wasn't there, but one of the best means of advertisement is word of mouth. If
Yeah.
someone had said, you know what, not to defer you or they try to derail you from going to YWAM, but these are some things you just be watchful and mindful of. You understand? Not that my
Mhm.
experience will be similar to your one, because as I said, we can be reading the very same book and have two total different takeaways from the book.
Yeah.
So we might not have the same experiences, but oh dear me, oh dear you, not at least leaving shares of information out there that someone can even have to prepare themselves. You understand? And
Yes.
so and so it's not about batching any organization. It's really not about that. It's just this is what we're experiencing. This is what we have experienced. This is up to this day. Like, look, it's 16 years after, and we are having
Mhm.
conversation about it. We didn't
Yeah.
go to our bed at night and said 16 years down the line we're gonna link up and we're gonna speak about why what. No,
No.
it happened naturally. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was so good, Andy. There's so much I can go into on that. But I'll say this, we need to look at all sides whenever it comes to any conversation. The way that systems of oppression work is only one side of the story is told. If we look at slavery, only one side of the story is told and is popularized, the other side is
yeah,
not. If we look at wars in the world, we only hear one side of the story. Just think about every single war you've learned about in school, or even the wars that are currently going on. And popularly, only one side is heard. Even if you think you're on the right side, have you heard the other side as well?
yeah,
Because both sides are important. So for us now, we both think YWAM is a cult. We respect everyone who thinks otherwise. I used to think otherwise, so who am I to judge anybody who thinks otherwise? For
hmm,
me, it serves me to call YWAM a cult. According to you, it does the same. So we want to have more conversations with more people about certain things too. But this podcast is not a bash YWAM podcast. And we are going to take some time to explore some other topics before we invite other people on. Because I think if we don't, we'll just have tons, like the amount of phone calls and messages we've been getting. We'll
yeah.
have so
Yeah.
many guests only on the YWAM thing. And I don't think that's not where we want to go, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Um, but that's not the direction that we want to go.
It's not. As a matter of fact, like even in the comments, I'm just speaking to people over the phone. I'm like, that's the first thing I say about explaining the thing, like why one is not the we just explain how we met, where we met, and our experiences there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then today's episode is to just speak about our exit from
Mm-hmm.
YWAM. So it's not really YWAM orientated.
No, no. Um, I'll ask you this. Let's end with this, okay? Where are you right now in your life? And I'll share the same thing.
Uh, Emotionally, I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere. Yeah, I'm everywhere. As I
Uh-huh.
said, like just I started reading more and start studying and delving into things. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? That I used to just brush aside because I'm so devoted and all, but there's other literature out there which can be there. We have to have balance.
Yes.
Understand? And the universe is about balance. The
Mm-hmm.
great mind that created or called this place we inhabit into being is a mind of balance.
Yes.
So we have to have balance in our lives. So that's where I'm at emotionally. Physically, I'm in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I've been here for a minute now. And the reason for that is our son was born up here. He's an
Mm-hmm.
American. So
Yeah.
so just wanted to be close to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the decision to, all right, come. But
Mm-hmm.
and as a man, growth wise, I think I'm more wiser.
Yeah,
Um,
you are.
and I'm even more protective of my feelings and and
Mm-hmm.
and and the people who are involved in that feeling,
Yeah.
in those feelings. You understand? That's why you be always telling me, yeah, like once again, Andy, you're like a cave inside of a cave inside of a cave. Shit. How come it's the first time hearing about this? I'm like, but I really appreciate you. You inspire me a lot, Shay. I said this to you all the time. You cause me to do things that I wouldn't normally do. So that's why I really no, it's true. Like I want to be
Yeah, I
speaking.
see that.
Like many people don't know that me and Andy's not together anymore.
I didn't know when I was in the wedding.
Yeah, because I don't think it's your business to know.
Yeah,
You
you're
understand?
you're more private. We're complete
Yeah.
opposites in that. I tell you everything. The only thing I don't tell is like things I have to protect other people. Like if it
Yeah,
is something you share with me in confidentiality, I will not share that. And I'll even the things that I do share, I usually ask the person, like, can I share this? So
yeah,
that's the only time you can see me being private. And I'm very awkward when those times come because it's very awkward for me to keep even other people's secrets. I always do, but it's like I love to blurt out everything. I love everything out
yeah,
in the open. It's my favorite thing. But where I am right now is I am a coach. I call myself a freedom alchemist. And that's the whole premise of that is to experience more freedom by challenging the norms. So, whatever
yeah,
you feel like is normal in your life, in the world, personally, internally, and externally, challenge that in order towards more freedom if it feels like you need that, right?
yeah, yeah,
And besides that, I'm also writing my book. It's going to be a memoir. Some of the things that we talk about here on the podcast, I go way deeper in the book, but I'm currently writing it. So don't ask me when it's gonna go come out. I'm in the writing creative process like an artist.
yeah,
And and besides that, I'm a co-host of The Dungeon and I organize some racial awareness events. And I've worked with the university. Some powerful things are coming up that might have to do with the government. Um, so the racial awareness thing I'm very excited about as well.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, what else is there to say?
The end. Listen to the next episode.
Listen, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, my
All right,
friend.
Andy.
See you.
Bye.